belts, blockbusters. You are listening to the Triple B podcast. Let's fucking go.
Welcome back to a brand new episode of Triple B Podcast, Bourbon, Belts, and Blockbusters.
Oh, yeah.
Episode 12.
Hells to the yeah, dog.
The show where we talk about wrestling, talk about movies, all over a glass of bourbon or cocktail.
Sometimes.
I'm Tim.
I'm Ryan.
And can't wait to get this going.
Hell yes.
All right, man.
Brother.
What do we got here? We got the old Bourbon in the Bank. This was introduced last episode.
Yes, it is.
And I'm cashing in the bank this week.
Let's do it.
All right. Let's do this.
Excited.
And our bourbon of the week is the Wilcott.
The Wilcott.
The Wilcott. I don't know much about this
I've
one.
never even heard of it. I'm excited to try
It
it.
says a special release. I got it from Total Wine out in the Puyallup area.
You bought that the day we filmed last week.
Yeah, well,
You were so excited about the Bourbon in the Bank
I was
briefcase.
excited. I wanted to fill it.
Yeah, you sent me a snap not shortly after you left my house, and you're like, "We got it. It's filled. We're ready to go." I was like, "Whoa, all right."
It was.
He's a planner. I'm more of a do it at the very last minute type of guy. So
It was on sale for $44, so it looks good. Had some employee recommendations on the website or
okay,
on the shelf, so I figured,
Sweet.
why not?
Let's give her a go.
Let's give it a good old try
It had
here.
a good pop.
It had a really good pop.
I like
so.
that.
Oh, yeah.
I love it.
Okay.
Oh, the left-handed pour. God, we're getting good at this.
All right. So, again,
All right.
special edition Wolcott. Sorry, it's not Wilcott. Wolcott.
Wolcott.
Kentucky-made bourbon.
All right.
Let's give that the old try ski here. Cheers, brother.
Cheers. Episode 12. Brand new bourbon. Okay. All right.
All right, let's go into the ratings.
I'm gonna give it a 6.
Give it a 6. I was
Yeah.
gonna go a 4. Actually,
You're going a 4.
I'm going a 4.
Okay. Can I re-say mine?
Yeah.
I'm backtracking here. I'm gonna do a 5 because
Okay.
the first thing that came to my mind was it's very middle of the road.
Yeah.
It's really like it's kind of bland. It's not really like a flavor pop. There's not like the aftertaste just kind of tastes like I just drank alcohol. Like it doesn't taste like anything specific. But I'm a very kind-hearted individual. And I didn't want to rate it too low and be an asshole. But then you said a 4 and I was like, okay, then no, I got to go lower. That's the lowest we've given anything. So I was a little nervous. I was a little nervous to go lower than the Viv and Tucker last 2 weeks ago.
This would be our lowest. And yeah, I agree with you. I think there's just no flavor at all.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure it's good
like
for a cocktail. Like
it would.
It's not going to overpower
it's not
anything.
going to overpower anything. Nothing.
Except for that last bite it gives where it's like you
and
said.
We'll find out next week.
Yes, we will.
We'll be using it to make a cocktail.
Yes.
So.
But yeah, no, just middle of the road. No flavor really, and just the alcohol taste at the end. I'm gonna stick with the 4. You give it a 5.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with a 5. Yeah.
Sorry, Wolcott, you're gonna be the lowest ranking for now.
Yeah, it is what
but
it is.
Someone has to be the lowest.
Bib and Tucker was the lowest.
Yeah,
for 2 weeks.
Not everyone could be the French toast.
Nope, not everyone can be the French toast, and that's why we do what we do.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm gonna be honest. The bottle makes it's like a little bit of an oversell. It makes it like the bottle itself. Like you're like, this is gonna be good.
Yeah.
And then a little bit of disappointment. It's kind of like me in the bedroom.
I'm going to have a word with the employees at Total Wine because
this was your
whoever's
recommendation.
recommending this.
Do you have Do you have lasting effects of COVID? Can you not smell or taste anything? What is happening? I wouldn't recommend that to anybody.
You can find us on our social media.
Yes, we are on social media.
We have our
places.
Instagram, our X, our TikTok at TripBPod. And then you can find us on YouTube, Apple Podcast, and Spotify, and Amazon.
Yeah.
At the Triple B Podcast.
Shoot us an email, too.
Yeah.
We want to hear from people. It would be absolutely wonderful to give us more things to talk about, and just, see what people are thinking or saying about wrestling and about movies and about bourbon.
Yeah.
Like, if anyone were to even send us a bourbon recommendation, we would try it. It would be that would be awesome too. So
yeah,
triplebpod619@gmail.com. That is our email. Shoot us an email on there. Other than that, yeah, we're gonna get rolling.
All right.
Timmy, have a segment proposal for you that I thought other ones that we've done, Blockbusted, one that we're actually introducing today for the first time. We haven't talked about on air. We haven't talked about live. This one I wanted to actually propose to you on the show, because I thought it would just be fun for us to kind of talk about it, get your reaction to it, maybe hash out some details of it, and then potentially run it maybe next week, depending on how we're feeling about it, or the week after we could do it.
Gotcha.
So just kind of depends on what you're thinking about, if you like the idea or not. Even the name of it is it's all fluid, right? Again, it's all mendable. We can move things. They're all in, little pieces, little pieces to a puzzle that don't necessarily fit in one specific spot. We can move things around as we see fit. So that's the nice thing about us doing this fully on our own. We're not owned by anything or anybody.
This is our show.
Yeah, it's our show. We have gotten it all going, and that's kind of the exciting part about all of this, is that we get to just make up our own shit and do our own thing however we see fit. So, new segment idea for the Blockbusters section, because I feel like I feel like we can always use things to kind of bolster that section.
Yeah.
Right? And we've been working on that. We've been doing a good job at it, but I thought another idea to do wouldn't be a bad idea. So, the segment, at least the running name I have right now, doesn't necessarily, like I said, have to be the name, but the name I have for it right now is Toasted or Trash.
And I love it.
Okay.
Love the name of it already.
The idea that I had with this was we would each individually refer, not even refer, but it would be I would give you a movie you have to watch. You would give me a movie I have to watch.
Okay.
Now, it doesn't have to be one that we haven't seen before. You don't have to give me a movie I haven't seen.
Yeah.
Because that would be really hard for us to do anyways. Because we both are movie fanatics. So, but it's just you pick a movie that you want me to watch. I pick a movie that I want you to watch. We both watch those respective movies. We come back live. We talk about the respective movies.
Mm-hmm.
And then we each have to try to decide if, the movie you gave me, I watch it. I then have to try to decide if you classify this as toasted or trash.
Okay.
And then you would do the same thing back. And then we talk about whether we're right or wrong. Because, I thought it would just kind of a fun idea, but also it gives us talking points to be able to, if we do disagree, talk about what we think.
Yeah.
Right?
Dude.
So I thought it would be kind of a fun thing to be able to do. And
I freaking love the idea.
So the other thing too was, I think it would be a good idea to we could, how we would usually on the Blockbuster section, when we go over the new movies and stuff that we're talking about, we kind of give the synopsis.
Yeah.
It's maybe when we're in that segment that we then talk about, we say the synopsis for the movie. You gave me a movie. Maybe you introduce that movie, you say the synopsis for it. Maybe you even talk about a couple of the actors or something that are in it, something like that along that line. And then I'll talk about how I felt about the movie, everything like that. And then I'll give my toasted or trash. We don't need to do a Rotten Tomatoes rating for that one, I don't think.
Yeah.
But just whether I think it was toasted or trash, and then whether I think you agree with me or not.
Gotcha.
And then you...
Vice versa.
Yep. Then you say whether you think it was toasted or trash, and then we move on to the other one.
I freaking love it. I love the idea.
Yeah. I thought it was...
I definitely think we should... let's get it going next episode.
Okay. Perfect. I love it. Because then that gives us something that we could do. Because we could do that on the in-between episodes between Blockbusted and the one that we're going to introduce today.
Absolutely.
So that essentially puts us then watching a new movie or different movies or something, watching a movie for the show pretty close to weekly.
Yeah.
As we're able to, obviously.
Yeah.
I'm sure there will be certain times where like certain things come up and we're just like, I literally don't have time to watch a movie this week, which will happen, and that's fine. It's life.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it just gives us something extra in case sometimes there's lulls in movie news for the stuff that we tend to talk about.
Exactly.
Right. I mean, there's not necessarily a shortage of movie news, but there's certain shit that we're just not going to cover.
Yeah. No, 100%.
I'm not going to fucking cover certain things. So, doesn't matter to us. So so again, another nice thing about this being our show is we talk about the stuff that we like to watch.
Yeah.
Superhero movies, horror movies, action comedies. Those are pretty much the three main.
Yeah, that's true.
Those are like the three main things. So.
That is true. No, I think that's a great idea. I love the idea of bolstering our blockbuster section because wrestling is easy to fill up the time. And,
absolutely.
But we do love movies. That's why we're doing this. Yep. And
that's why we got a 3-part podcast.
Yeah, exactly. So no, totally like that idea. Love it.
Hell to the yeah, man. That brings us to belts. All right. Take 2. No big deal. So running it back to SmackDown last week, the show started off with Tiffany Stratton and Pretty Deadly out in the ring. They're setting off a celebration for Queen Nia Jax, WWE Women's Champion.
Yeah, and I think the first thing you can take from it is Nia's lack of enthusiasm about the party.
Like on the way down when she was being, she was like riding in like which I really liked that portion.
No,
of the
I thought that was awesome.
It really had a really big like throwback feel to it because there were. It reminded me of when wrestlers like back in the 80s used to come out in like the roped square that like wheeled to the ring.
Yeah.
It had that feel to it, but it also was a a kind of a callback to a handful of wrestlers who have come out after they've won King of the Ring, or like even like Macho Man Randy Savage has come out to people carrying him in
King
a throne
Booker.
like that. King Booker. Yeah. So kind of a throwback to a bunch of classic superstars.
Yeah.
So I really like that. But and like while she was coming out, she's doing, the classic royalty wave and everything. She's got that kind of menacing grimace on her face. It was hard to read her at first until she got in the ring. And then it was like, oh yeah, no, she's not super thrilled about the decor that old Tiffy time decided to.
And Chelsea Green warned her the week before that
true.
That, pink isn't really Nia's thing. So
and boy was there a lot of it.
Yes. I was thinking this was a celebration for Tiffy.
Yeah, that's kind of how it felt.
Yeah.
To a point. Like it was like, this is because she didn't really have a celebration of any form for the most part for winning the Money in the Bank, because she was kind of overshadowed by Nia, right? Yeah,
true.
Kind of interesting. Kind of continues to seem like it might be building a little bit of tension between those two, as they're supposed to be partners. When Nia Jax was like demanding that she bow to her.
Yeah. I definitely enjoyed the tension brewing there, because ultimately Tiffy gets to cash that in anytime
against
anyone. And Nia has championship. Nia kind of taking Tiffy, it starts that bubbling feud right there. But then we get
before anything can actually happen. Yeah.
We get Meechin running out to the ring, beating down people with a kendo stick, right? And I like what they did here because, again, it's starting to get that dissension between Tiffy and Nia, but steering away from it so it's not happening so quick.
Yeah. It was a great tease because there was it seemed like something was about to happen between these two, with Tiffany kind of refusing to bow to Nia, but you weren't really sure.
Exactly.
But then Meechin came in and destroyed the whole thing anyway, so then there was no resolution there. There didn't have to be. Tiffany kind of got saved in a way from having to either make a decision to bow to Nia Jax or not. Right. She didn't have to make that decision. So then that just leaves that lingering for at least another week. So
exactly. And I also thought it was interesting. And I don't know if this was done on purpose. We noted that Bayley took the pin in the tag match right before SummerSlam, and thought that was a big deal, especially since Michin was in the match. Like, she would be the easy person to lose that match if that was the direction. But it seems like Michin is getting a chance to feud with Nia, so it didn't make her look weak in that moment and gives her a reason to feud with Nia. I think if Nia pinned her, like, why would there be any feud right here? So yeah, I just thought that was interesting. I like. I want Tiffy to win the title, and I'm okay with the slow burn. It's going to be fun, especially if this is the way they're going to do it, with these just small moments and then make it happen. It'll just be more rewarding.
Yeah. I mean, I could legitimately foresee there being a Michin versus Nia Jax title match, and then Tiffany Stratton screwing both of them over. Like, she slides into the ring and almost DQs Nia so that Nia keeps it, but she attacks Michin, and after Michin was about to win, and then she turns around and cashes in and pins Nia for the title. Like, I could totally see something like that.
That would be awesome.
I don't know. I like you said, I'm excited to see like where they go with this.
Yeah.
Another thing that we've talked about a handful of times over the last couple of weeks, we've been kind of unsure as to where it's going. You have a potential idea as to where they might be leading with it, but that is Carmelo versus Andrade. We had match number 3 in a row, third week in a row, where we got to see these two score off against each other.
Another great match,
another phenomenal match. Carmelo ends up coming away with this one.
Yeah.
And we had talked about, like, if they did face off again and Andrade wins, it's like, that's got to be the nail in the coffin for whatever feud that they have brewing here.
Yeah.
And if Carmelo wins, then we're kind of like, what are we doing to a point? Because then because now we're sitting, Carmelo did win, so now we're sitting at Carmelo 1, Andrade 2.
Yeah.
So there's like room still to make up for Carmelo, but at the same point, it's also like, for Andrade's sake, like, why would he continue to go down this feud? Like, he won the first 2 clean. So
I mean, it could lead to a best of 5 series, kind of like Matt Hardy MVP years ago for the U.S. title.
Yeah,
they do it randomly here and there, and I mean, they're putting on great matches. So I mean, it could potentially lead to that.
Hard to argue with wanting to give these two screen time against each other.
Yeah, right? Exactly.
They've put on, some of the better matches on SmackDown over the last few weeks. So,
or maybe what the end result could be is they could be a number 1 contender for the the U.S. Championship. Yeah. So it's weird that there's no like stakes at place right now. That it's just this ongoing feud, but they're putting on great matches. I'm glued to the screen when they're on in the match. So so that's a good thing. But just where are they going with it, right?
Yeah,
so
for sure,
we'll see.
This brings us to KO faced off against Grayson Waller. There was a backstage segment. Grayson Waller was kind of talking shit about KO. KO walked up on him. Austin Theory was like, "Yo, fucking knock it off. He's right behind you." And then you could tell that like kind of a switch flipped on KO because he almost had like to a point. And if you watched it, I think you could see where I'm going with this, but almost like a Joker type ambiance to him in that moment where he was like, oh yeah, oh yeah, okay, yeah, let's go do this, and it was like, oh, he fucking snapped, kind of like, you're like, oh shit, like, and I think Grayson Waller felt it, like he's like, oh fuck, I fucked up, I'm gonna go get killed right now. So anyways, KO versus Grayson Waller. KO wins with a fucking stunner to a pop-up powerbomb combo, which was pretty solid. So the stunner to the pop-up powerbomb was a pretty cool way to finish the match. But, of course, after the match, you get Austin Theory and Grayson Waller then attacking Kevin Owens.
Yeah.
This leads to what makes sense, but now is also kind of, you might be surprised to a point because I have a match coming up. Cody Rhodes comes out and saves him.
Yeah.
Right? Cody comes out. Had a chair, I think. Did he come out with a chair?
I think it was.
He had something in his hands, and I think it wasn't just the title.
Yeah.
But anyways, he came out, was like ready to throw down, have KO's back, just like KO's done for the last few months for him. They get those two out of there. And then there was an interesting stare down between the two. KO had the title in his hands.
And Cody had a concerned look on his face. Yeah. But, I mean, KO handed off like nothing, but
gave the title back to him.
But just interesting that Cody is the one that recommended this match. Mm-hmm. You know, it says KO deserves the title shot, but has this look of concern over KO holding a title, you know. So I thought that was interesting. Other parts of interesting was just KO does, like, he kind of, like, to your point, snapped and then started doing things that what he was doing when he was a heel, like just like the powerbomb on the apron. I thought that was pretty cool. And he said, "You want to see the old me?" Yeah. And he was pulling it out. So I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
So
yeah, for sure.
I'm excited to see this feud because the two are going to put on a great match, and just the unknowingness of what's happening has me excited for it.
Yeah, I'm very curious because, like I said before, I want them. I would love to see at Bash at Berlin this match be a face versus face match.
Mm-hmm.
So, because like I said last week, I don't think like we just haven't had enough of that.
Yeah.
I think it would be really good. Like I literally saw this morning a clip on Facebook of back when Jeff Hardy faced off against Shawn Michaels. I think it was the only time they ever wrestled each other in a singles match. And Jeff won the match, but it was I was reading the comments on it and stuff, and it was like people saying like they need to do more of this like face versus face, heel versus heel match, because a lot of it's fairly predictable now. Yeah. In the sense of like you can kind of get a feeling during the match as to who's going to win matches, even in the current landscape where a lot of stuff like we've talked about is like you're unsure. Mm-hmm. A lot of that is, I feel like, more kind of on the PLEs. We've been unsure about stuff. I feel like on the weekly episodes it's still a little more predictable to a point to where like you're like, okay, I kind of had a feeling, right? And so I think it would be interesting because like when you have a face versus a face like that, or a heel versus a heel, it truly is up in the air. Like you're gonna have fans that are going for both sides. You're gonna have people that are like you truly don't know because it's not the traditional lane. So I would love to see that happen.
I would also love to. I agree with you 100%. I just, again, like, you don't know which direction, but I would also like it if it was a launching pad for KO to go heel. Like, maybe he loses the match at Bash in Berlin, and could see that happening, obviously.
Yeah.
But him losing kind of just starts eating away at him.
I'm wondering if, like to your point here, you could see a loss at Bash at Berlin, and then it's like it'd be a great match, push each other to their limit type match, and like a long match. They're exhausted. Cody wins, gets his arm up, has a title, goes and like grabs KO, pulls him up, embraces him, and then Cody throws his arm up type thing too. And then as Cody's like then turning to walk out, KO attacks him. Yeah. That type of thing.
Yeah.
I would love that. Absolutely, I would love that. I just want the match itself to be a face versus face match.
Yeah. No, I agree.
But then if that turns into KO turning, I think that would be great. I think that'd be a great way for them to go about it. So
the story's there. He's been losing and losing and losing. Loses a big one.
Yeah.
That kind of set me off, right? So, which leads us to our number one contenders tag team for the tag team title match. Street Profits. I can't talk.
Street Profits. That was me last week.
Street Profits versus DIY. And damn, what a match.
Great match. It was awesome. We knew it was going to be. We talked about that too. I love DIY. Mm-hmm. They're great. But I was 100% just like on a high of riding Street Profits to this situation.
Yeah.
Because I'm just so excited for them. Like and we talked about it last week. Like I want them to get a legit push. I want them to get a legit push. I want them to have an actual shot at the titles because they're just so damn good. And like they're phenomenal athletes.
Yeah.
In the ring, their chemistry together in the ring's really good. Most of the matches that they have, like the chemistry with the people that they're wrestling against are good. They're good workers.
Yeah.
And so it's definitely something that I was like, I'm I love DIY. I love DIY being tag champions, but we just saw that.
True.
Right? And we've seen it recently. We haven't seen that with the Street Profits. So
I'm excited that the Street Profits won. I got to give props to Dawkins. Like, it's easily to get outshined by Montez Ford.
It's very easy.
That guy is super freakish athletic.
He's insane, man. But he's like Shelton Benjamin on steroids type athleticism. And like, that is not a knock on Shelton Benjamin in any way, shape, or form. Shelton Benjamin was fucking insane of an athlete, but he's almost like a combination of Shelton Benjamin power and like original Kofi Kingston.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Agility and athleticism, right? And like, Shelton Benjamin's athleticism was off the chart. So like, I feel like he's just really good. So like you say, super easy to get outshined. But
Dawkins really shined. There was like towards the end of the match, the Gargano goes for the spear from the outside, and he catches Gargano and does this like corkscrew neck breaker, and I was just like, oh my god!
That was a wild spot.
Yeah.
Like that was one of those things where you're just watching it, and you're like, all right, yeah, he's gonna go, and either he's going to hit this, or Dawkins is going to just move out of the way.
Yeah, or like kick, whatever. Like, he caught him.
But he fucking caught him mid-flight through the air into a fucking corkscrew neck breaker.
Yeah.
That was crazy. To be able to catch it that pinpointed with accuracy, that was wild. So
Great match.
Street
Profits win, which brings us to the end of the show.
Yes.
We got the...
Wow.
Yeah, we got Solo and the New Bloodline out in the ring. And earlier in the night, Solo was talking to Tama about if Roman takes the Ulafala, he will acknowledge him, like, which I thought was interesting. It was just like, you're the head of the table, but you're respecting if he takes the Ulafala, you'll acknowledge him as the tribal chief.
Respecting the
legacy,
cultural heritage, and the legacy and all of that of the Ulafala. Yeah, just like so. Like that was like okay, all right.
It kind of caught me off guard. I was just
because that's not what you're expecting. But it was also at the same time, it's like he has crossed a lot of lines, but like the legacy of the bloodline, of the family, their heritage, their culture, all of that is like not a line he's willing to cross. So it's that kind of cool.
Yeah.
New, kind of shocking, all of it. It was definitely a good segment. Yeah, it brings them there out in the ring. They call Roman out because Solo wants him to acknowledge him as tribal chief. Roman comes out.
Waste no time.
Yeah, once again, it's this is 2 weeks in a row. We haven't heard Roman. We haven't heard Roman speak.
Yeah, not one word
since probably the SmackDown before WrestleMania.
Yeah,
if he even spoke then, like
maybe a promo on WrestleMania, but
we haven't heard him
after the match
live. Like literally, we haven't heard him talk live on TV in over 5 months.
Yeah, true.
So it's kind of crazy for being, one could probably argue he's the biggest star in the business. Mm-hmm. I would argue. I think it's arguable, but he is obviously one of the
crowd reaction is saying something right now.
It is pretty insane. But comes down, and like you said, waste no time. He starts just trying to wreck house like he did the week before. This time, he actually does get the Ulafala, and he puts it on.
And I like what WWE did here. It looked like the show was closing.
Yes, it did. Like the camera angle and everything looked like it was going to close.
Like with him wearing it,
putting it on, and then as he puts it on, and then as he kind of settles in with it on, he looks to his left, and he catches a fucking super kick from a walking boot.
Jacob Fatu
coming out of fucking nowhere.
Yes,
and he then proceeded to
single-handedly
destroy Roman Reigns.
I freaking love this.
There was zero help.
Nope.
Like, Roman just took out Tama, Tonga, and Solo 2 weeks in a row, and then Jacob just eliminates Roman and leaves Roman in a heap on the mat as the 4 stand tall.
Yeah.
Over.
And of course, I mean, they beat Roman down pretty good. The show closes with the
triple power bomb through the announce table.
But the show closes with the ones in the air. Solo has to follow back. I thought just Jacob Fatu taking out Roman alone was this is what an enforcer needs to be.
Yeah, and I think it was done super well, because I said last week that I was actually a little displeased with the fact that Roman had just single-handedly just destroyed the other three. Like I said, like it had taken Cody, Orton, and KO to even get a win, which wasn't even a clean fucking win because Cody needed Roman to come out to help him with. Like,
True.
There's a lot of stuff where I've said, I don't feel like it's protected Cody as the champion very much and the actual face of the franchise. I like that they did it the way that they did it now, because it looked like it was going to happen 2 weeks in a row, and I was actually like, fuck, what's going on now? The new bloodline now looks like fucking fools.
Yeah.
And then Jacob came out, and I was like, okay, never mind. Yes. Here we go. I was like, all right, this is happening. Then that happened, and now it's like, okay, that if nothing else before had done it, that solidified the need for Roman to have backup.
Yep.
Which sets up potentially what we've talked about before is the potential for a Bloodline Civil War at War Games.
Absolutely. I mean, Jacob Fatu alone. I mean, you need backup with him alone.
Yeah. So
I love it.
Yeah, I'm like I said, I'm happy about the way that it all went. That was a hell of a way for the show to close. And that brings us to Raw.
Monday Night Raw. Yeah. And Orton comes out. He was just saying, all this was supposed to be was about the championship. And Gunther had to go and make it personal, talking about his family the previous week. And obviously bringing up Gunther is going to bring out Gunther. They throw some barbs out against each other. It just felt like Gunther struggled through this promo. I don't know if you caught that. The crowd was definitely booing him, which I think it was like strong boos too. It was like you could almost barely hear him on the microphone,
but he hasn't been used to.
Yeah, and he never seems to struggle on the mic, but I thought it was a little weird here. He just was like repeating himself, maybe was unsure of what to say.
Yeah, and I do feel like, because there's definitely moments and times where they go off script, or maybe they just don't really have a script to begin with in certain situations for some of the promos, and it kind of felt like the crowd just threw him. And he is usually, I feel like, pretty good at playing off of what's happening in the ring. Like, he's usually really good on the mic and everything. But dude, I think this whole thing is just a testament to the power of the character that Randy Orton is.
True.
Because right now, at the stage of Orton's career that he's in, it doesn't matter what storyline he's in, he's not getting booed.
No.
You know what I mean? Like, he is, and I mean, this is literally 2 weeks removed from everyone going fucking crazy for Gunther.
Yeah.
Loving Gunther. Even last week on Raw, loving Gunther, to literally now like flipping it. And I mean, and to the credit of Gunther also, he has turned himself into the big heel in this feud now.
Absolutely.
By doing the personal barbs and all that stuff. But I mean, man, trying to stand toe to toe with Orton on the mic in the ring these days, especially, like, Randy Orton has gotten over, like, in the latter part of his career, because I mean, there's not a whole lot he can do to improve anymore in the ring.
Yeah.
But he has taken his goddamn mic game to a whole nother level. And even like his off mic game during promos, when he is just in the ring and other people are talking, his facial expressions, his bodily reactions, the way all of that stuff is, it's almost unmatched, because he's so good at continuing to storytell. Paul Heyman's probably the only other person that I would put above Orton right now in his ability to continue to tell a story while not even talking.
True. Very true.
So I think that all of that mixed together is just kind of that's a tough spot. Arguably Gunther's biggest storyline of his career.
Absolutely.
I don't even know if it's arguable. I mean, it's going to be his first title defense, but aside from the title defense against Orton, it's the biggest person he has faced.
True. Very true.
Like, there's nobody with a bigger legacy that Gunther has squared off against since he's been in WWE.
Exactly. No, I agree.
So like, it's a big stage to be on, and I to a point, I think he kind of faltered.
Yeah.
As much as he can falter, I think. Yeah. Because it wasn't terrible, but it was definitely, like you said, like it was definitely noticeable. There was definitely something.
Yeah, exactly. So. Ludwig comes out and attacks. So this sets up the main event for the show.
Yep.
So.
Orton versus Ludwig ends up being the main event we'll talk about in a little bit. But before we get to that, we get Sheamus versus Pete Dunne finally.
Yes, we do.
Pete Dunne has been, attacking Sheamus on and off for the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Last week, actually, attacked him with a shillelagh.
Yeah.
Sheamus's own shillelagh, I do believe it was. And fucked his hand up. He had his hand. It wasn't. Up. Yeah, it was taped up. It was. Yeah. It was like in football, what we used to call it was a spat. Like it was where you would like tape over the cleat because it just looked thick.
Yeah.
Like it almost looked like he had a brace and then tape on just because it was thicker. It didn't look like it was just tape job, but so it looked like there was like significant damage done to the hand. But yeah, I mean, it was a good match, all around good match.
It was definitely good.
I mean, it's Sheamus.
Yeah,
it's banger after banger after banger. And yeah, so it's a great match. Pete Dunne, for what he is and who he is, can hold his own in the ring for sure against most people.
I watched a lot of him through NXT UK and through NXT, and I mean the guy can go in the ring. He's had matches with Gunther for the UK title, and that match was incredible. Mm-hmm. So he could go toe to toe with the best. I was disappointed he lost the match. I don't know if this is setting up Sheamus for something else or what, but it just seemed like Pete Dunne couldn't really afford losing here, but we'll see where it goes. But
it's interesting because I get what you mean in Pete Dunne couldn't afford losing here, but at the same time I feel like Sheamus also couldn't afford losing here.
True.
Because of just the point at where Sheamus is at in his career.
Mm-hmm.
It's and Pete Dunne beating Sheamus in this situation where Sheamus hasn't been in a main event picture in a long time also wasn't going to like boost Pete Dunne up any, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
like
no, that does.
Him beating Sheamus, I don't feel like it was going to like propel him into an IC match situation or, you know what I mean?
No,
and
I
definitely
get
not
that.
into a main event situation. So I almost feel like it would have been, I get what you're saying with Pete Dunne just because he's like the younger, newer guy. Like why are we not having him go over here?
Yeah.
But it's also like him going over doesn't help him that much.
True.
Where Sheamus, it could actually hurt him. It could hurt his career. The coming up on what could be the end run of his career, in the next couple of years, I would assume, to lose to a guy like Pete Dunne, where Pete does what I'm saying make sense?
Yeah, no, that totally makes sense.
Because Pete Dunne is definitely not a household name.
Yeah.
Right, by any means. Like
he has plenty of time to
exactly. And so I don't know. I just felt like Pete Dunne losing to me was the right move.
Okay.
Because of the, I guess, if you will, the more kind of, this isn't probably the best way of putting it, but like the more fragile state of the respective careers.
Yeah.
Right.
No.
Like Sheamus is coming up, whether you like it or not. Sheamus is in the latter part of his career. He's in the twilight years, unless he tries to pull a Ric Flair or a Hogan.
Keep going forever.
He just never quits. It's one more banger after one more banger. Then I think anyone would be safe to assume that it's probably within a couple years he's gonna be hanging it up, because he's up there. He's the same age as fucking Cena and Orton, if not a little older, maybe even. No,
I didn't.
So that was kind of my take on it. But regardless of how, like, who won, who lost, the ending of the match was fucking dope.
Yeah, that
spot, the turnbuckle spot, was fucking awesome. So Pete Dunne managed to be able to wrangle Sheamus, his hurt hand in through the actual like fabric part of the turnbuckle.
Yeah.
And kind of, in a sense, almost handcuffed him to the corner, and was, went to the other corner, was getting ready to like come back and probably do some sort of kick to the hand. And Sheamus fucking just fucking mayonnaise Hulk. He is the Mayo Hulk. Just fucking hulked out, rips the turnbuckle off. But it wasn't even like a rip and then stand up and go for it. It was a rip straight into him moving towards it and hitting the brogue kick.
Yeah.
Like, it was the coolest fucking sequence. That was so awesome.
I know. I was. Yeah, that spot was awesome. I was disappointed in the loss, but I was like, But that ending was...
the ending was...
It just outshined that, and I guess the overall match went really good. The match shined Pete Dunne, beating Sheamus down, but Sheamus coming on top. So, agree with you. You're making it make sense to me, and but that ending to the match was awesome.
That was one of the coolest. Like, we've seen a lot of catch finishers.
Yes.
Right? Shawn Michaels, Shelton Benjamin, that one always
Evan
pops in my mind.
Randy Orton.
Randy Orton, Seth Rollins, and Randy Orton.
Yes,
Randy Orton in general. Like, really, Randy Orton and Shawn Michaels are probably the two best catch finishers of all time.
Yes,
but that was awesome because that came from a straight very vulnerable state.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
His hands fucking caught up. He's trying to rip it out and he can't. He just powers the whole fucking turnbuckle face off straight into running and hitting him with the broke. It was so dope. Yeah. It was awesome. I loved every part of that.
Never seen anything like that.
This leads us to a segment in the back with Chad Gable and American Made and remind me of her name, Ivy Nile.
Yeah.
And Ivy's in the back. She had attacked Maxine the previous week.
Yep.
And so now we got a match set up between Ivy Nile and Maxine, who were former best friends, traveled the road together, all sorts of stuff. You get American Made then come into the picture because Ivy's obviously kind of been in cahoots with the Creed brothers now for a little while. And now it's kind of obvious, made obvious and apparent that we now have a 4-person stable in American Made.
Yeah.
That is Chad, the Creed brothers, and Ivy Nile. But the thing that really cements that is their team chant. Tim, you want to address that?
How are we made? American made.
Chad Gable is gold.
He is
gold.
The way to keep the cheesiness going on, even in he's a bad, he's been a bad guy for a while, but he's been able to keep the cheesiness. But this was just that icing on the top. I thought it was great. The t-shirts are badass.
The t-shirts were dope. The logo, it actually took me a second. I was looking, I was like, oh, that's a cool logo. And I was like, oh, fuck, there's an A and an M.
Yeah.
It took me a second to realize that. I was like, that was what's going on. Okay, cool. Yeah. That's cool.
So I like it. I like that they're keeping that cheesiness with him, Detective Gable has been going on, and now we are made. American Made. So that was
it was great. But this led to Ivy Nile versus Maxine. The match starts off. Maxine attacks Ivy Nile, which was awesome.
Yeah.
Nobody expected this. Maxine just starts brutalizing Ivy too. Not just a simple slap or anything. She fucking started just powerhousing her outside the ring, throwing her into the fucking barricade, throwing her into the fucking announce table, all sorts of stuff.
Maxine did this too, because she's been struggling in matches, leading, but she looked great.
She did, but it felt like she knew that. It felt like there was a frustration because of that. That was she was now letting out with everything. She was just letting it all go.
I thought it was great.
She fucking lashed out. It was great. And then Ivy got the upper hand. But then, as soon as it was almost instantly, Ivy gets the upper hand, the lights start to flicker, go out. And it was instantly, I was like, let's fucking go. Because I was like, this is going to bring Nikki Cross out.
Yeah.
The whole Wyatt Six isn't going to come out just against Ivy, right? That would be ridiculous. And lo and behold, man, Nikki, because I was like, I want to see more of her. Just the shit that she's done. The fucking Luthez presses that she's hit on guys. I'm like, let's fucking go. This is dope. So seeing her come out, I was like, yes. And she's so fucking creepy. The mask is terrifying.
Yes.
Her hair, the whole wardrobe, everything is holy shit, man. It's super creepy. And so she comes out, kind of does a stare off with Ivy. Ivy's kind of freaking out. The Creed brothers come out and Chad, they all kind of come out and back her up, right? And then
the rest of the Y6
well, the other
out.
3, right? Gacy, Rowan, and I always forget the other one.
Loomis,
Dexter Loomis. Those 3 are now on the side of the ring apron, and American Made looks, and then you're like, oh shit, it's gonna happen. And then Nikki Cross attacks Ivy Nile, and then they all start kind of brawling, clear the ring. with Chad Gable, the only one left, and
Uncle Howdy.
Here comes Uncle Howdy. Uncle Howdy catches him straight in, and Bo Dallas can hit a fucking mean Sister Abigail.
Yes,
dude.
He can.
And I don't know if I've ever seen anyone sell it as well as Chad Gable does. No. He's so good at selling it.
Yes, he really is.
Beautiful. But yeah, this leads to an officially announced first time we're going to get to see Uncle Howdy in live action, and that's this coming week on Monday Night Raw.
I can't think of the last time Bo Dallas has been in the ring.
Like in an actual match. Yeah,
his last was with the B team when he was with Curtis Axel a while ago.
This I'm wondering about it. Is he going to wrestle with a mask on?
Oh,
you know what I mean? Because like that one he could.
Mm-hmm.
Bray did.
Yeah,
like the Fiend mask. He totally could wrestle with the mask on.
I think. Yeah.
And I feel like in order for you to call it Uncle Howdy verse, I feel like he has to.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Because if without the mask, he's Bo Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of them are just themselves that just wear the character masks to the ring.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think that's a little bit different, right?
True. Very true.
So kind of curious, just kind of interesting to wonder, like, if they've set that mask up to be able to be ring proof, like Kane's mask, essentially, because it's very similar to Kane's later masks where it was the open mouth and nose and stuff, So kind of interesting. Something I thought about, but I'm excited. I'm definitely excited to see Chad Gable versus fucking Uncle Howdy. That's going to be dope.
And then we get, that brings us to story time with CM Punk. And I just love how he calls himself the Taylor Swift for men. I thought that got a laugh out of me. I'm a Swiftie, but that was. I'm not
necessarily. I'm not a Swiftie. I'll say that, but that still, that got a laugh out of me too. I was like, that was fucking awesome.
That was like,
let's face it, I'm the Taylor Swift for men.
That was. I thought, and it's true. Like I think he has that persona. But like I predicted on last episode, the looking at the belt. The big reveal is that he wants a strap match with Drew McIntyre, and I just think that's a good step forward. It's not probably the culmination of this feud, but it's definitely adding that next stipulation to the match, and I like how he used it as a metaphor, the strap being the bracelet, taking it away from just being a feud about him taking the bracelet from CM Punk, you know what I mean? But that brings Drew out. Again, they're great on the mics jabbing at it. It feels like they really hate each other.
It really does. And they back it up outside of live TV too.
Yes.
Because like the social media stuff,
they're keeping it kayfabe.
They are. It's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And whether it might not be just kayfabe, they might actually not like each other. I don't know.
Exactly.
Because in today's state, it's like, I don't know anymore because kayfabe, like we've talked about it, kind of does, but doesn't exist at the same time.
True.
So it's hard to have kayfabe with the post-show interviews.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think. Right?
Agreed.
I think that like having those kind of takes away from the kayfabe.
Mm-hmm.
But they're also, with this, like they're totally fucking playing this off. Like they fucking full-blown hate each other in real life across all aspects of everything. So
yeah, if
they really do, that kind of sucks. Because I'm not rooting for people to actually like want to kill each other.
Yeah.
But I am at the same time. Like it's fucking awesome.
Makes for great TV.
I am not usually a fan of the gimmick matches. Like the fucking things on a pole match.
Oh God, I'm glad they haven't done that in a long time.
The Braun panties matches of years past,
yeah.
Like those things, strap matches when they've done them before, they just haven't been like even like a tables match or a casket match, like stuff like that. The fucking the ring, the fucking ropes on the Inferno match.
Yeah,
all of those types of matches I've never been a huge fan of. Buried alive, dumpster matches, stuff like that, where it's just like, oh, the goal is to get your opponent in this and close it. Or
True.
like I said, the things on a pole match. Yeah. Like fucking wasn't Sandman in a kendo stick on a pole match at one point?
I think so.
Like those things have never been like my favorite. I think they're just kind of eh. I'm actually excited for this strap match because they've done a really good job of playing it up now to the point where it's like no one can run, no one is going to get involved.
Mm-hmm.
these two in the ring connected to each other, and they have to essentially drag the unconscious carcass of the other person and touch all four corners.
Yeah.
I like that. I think the only way that they can do this is CM Punk has to win this match, in my opinion.
Has to continue that feud.
CM Punk has to win, which will then lead to a Hell in a Cell match at some point.
Okay.
Because I feel like to a point, a Hell in a Cell match is kind of the next step from or a cage match at least.
Yeah.
Is kind of the next step from the idea of like there's no escape, there's no running from each other that the strap match holds.
Yeah.
Whereas like we're connected. The next step is we're now locked in an enclosure together.
True.
Right? So in order for the feud to continue, you can't just go from a strap match to a basic match.
Yeah.
Right. So there has to be another step up at some point if that feud does continue, which I hope it does. But yeah, that's just kind of how I see it.
I think the match, I mean, if any indication of the belt beatdown from the previous week, this is going to be a violent match. And and to your point, I also am not a huge fan of those gimmick matches, but this kind of takes me back to JBL versus Eddie Guerrero and the Texas Bull Rope match.
Yep.
I think that's the last time I can think of having to hit the 4 posts. I think maybe there was a John Cena JBL.
I think there was a John Cena JBL one that was after the Eddie JBL.
But that's what it immediately makes me think of.
That was the first thing that came to my mind was JBL.
And I was like, that match was brutal, and I think that's what we have in store for that.
And that was almost 20 years ago.
Yeah.
If it wasn't 20 years ago.
So
Eddie passed away in 05.
I was gonna say 05. Yeah, I think so.
Because Eddie went first, then Benoit.
Yes.
So, and I want to say Benoit was like 06. So it was a year later.
Mm-hmm.
So it was either 04, 05, or 05, 06. So, I mean, yeah, you're looking at 20 years ago. Yeah. Probably pretty close. Was when that match happened. It was probably only like 06-ish when the Cena JBL match happened. So, I mean, regardless, you're looking at almost 20 years ago and the last match like this happened.
Yeah.
So I think it's solid for him to bring this type of gimmick match back and for this feud specifically.
Yeah.
Like they've set it up very well to be able to do this and have it be real and believable and just brutal and everything that I'm sure it's going to be. So
agreed. Yeah.
We got the Odyssey Jones and the New Day against Final Testament, but before we had a little backstage segment where it was the three, Odyssey Jones and the New Day, kind of all talking. Odyssey Jones walked away for a little bit. Kofi actually kind of
explained himself.
Explained himself, but also what's the damn word I'm trying to think of? Confronted, if you will, confronted Xavier Woods as to like, you seem kind of off, right? Like what's been going on, you know? And then Xavier Woods kind of explained his part of it was like that. He was just like, you know, you like, why didn't you talk to me? It feels like you're trying to replace Big E, like all that. And Kofi was like, dude, that's not what I'm trying to do. Seemed like they were all good for the most part, you know, like Xavier Woods was kind of coming around, was like, all right, you know, no, I get it. Totally cool. You know, I get that. Understanding like the veterans trying to help a new guy in business that they didn't receive when they were first breaking in type of thing. Right.
Agreed.
So like you can totally see Kofi's angle. You can see it coming, all that stuff. Then you get the match, 6-man tag match, and in the match you get Kofi having to crawl to his corner. You know, he's been getting his ass kicked. He's trying to make the hot tag, and Xavier Woods is on the corner, on the ropes, going, and then Odyssey Jones hops up and puts his hand out right in front, right in time for Kofi to tag Odyssey Jones in, and then the look on like camera, perfect camera angle.
Yes,
and that was such a dope camera angle. Was from over the corner. Like that cameraman was standing, like his chest had to have been right up against the ring post, holding the camera like this because he was able to catch that so great. And as soon as it happened, panned right to Xavier Woods.
And his look on Xavier, at his face, oh my God.
He was like, the fuck why did he tag Odyssey Jones and not me? Like me and Kofi are fucking longtime partners type of thing going through his mind. Well, this leads to Odyssey Jones just kind of having his way with everybody and getting the pinfall.
He gets the win.
Yeah, he gets the win for him. And they're all celebrating in the ring. Xavier Woods still a little reluctant.
Yeah.
He's kind of just doing like kind of the smile nod.
Yeah.
But you could definitely tell he's still off. So
yeah.
We talked off screen. This feud has to be fucking over.
Yeah, the Final Testament keeps losing, right? They can't be involved in this anymore. So they got to change direction because I'm done seeing Final Testament. Like
I'm over the Final Testament.
Losing them to them.
I'm over the Final Testament as a faction.
Yeah.
Like, I think you're hurting Karrion Kross.
I think you're hurting him and you're hurting AOP. AOP is a dominant tag team with just alone. They don't need Karrion Kross. So I agree. I think it's hurting them both, but it definitely needs to steer away from this and take the next step in wherever this is going with the New Day. So
yes, for sure. We got a hardcore match. Bronson Reed versus The Miz. The Miz apparently asked for this, even though he didn't want to do it, but he didn't feel like he had a choice because what Bronson Reed did to R-Truth the previous week. So to The Miz's credit, it was a good match. He fucking held his own, but lo and behold, Bronson Reed gets the win, and it looks like he's getting ready to fuck The Miz up.
And do another 6 tsunamis.
Another 6 tsunamis on the third straight week, on the third straight victim. And finally, you get somebody that's like, nope, I've had enough of this. You're done picking on people smaller than you. And boy,
Braun Strowman.
What better fucking person, right? Yeah, Braun Strowman, the fucking goddamn giant of a man.
Big son of a bitch.
Yeah, the big son of a bitch. Here comes Braun Strowman. Braun Strowman struts out to the ring. It was kind of, it could have just been my TV feed of it.
No, it wasn't. No,
it was just weird what happened. It was weird because it was like, Strowman gets in the ring. Bronson Reed's on the apron because he climbed back down from the ring post. Miz rolls out of the ring. It's just Bronson and Braun and Bronson kind of staring off at each other, kind of from across the ring. Like Braun Strowman was like middle of the ring almost.
Yeah,
like a little bit closer to Bronson Reed, and then it just fucking went to commercial break.
Yeah, it kind of
was it. Like that was literally it.
Yeah.
So it was kind of weird. Like.
Must have been time constraints, but yeah, I thought the same thing.
Yeah, they could have done something a little bit better with it.
I had to like rewind it and go, did I miss something?
I know. I was like, what the fuck just happened? I was like, that was so weird.
No,
and I had recorded Raw, so I was like, fuck, maybe that was just like something happened on my recording, so that's why I brought that up. But no, apparently not. That was just what happened. So that was kind of weird, but it's also like for the unfortunate cut and the weirdness there of how that all ended. Braun Strowman versus Bronson Reed
is going to be a great match.
Yeah, I'm good with that. Let's fucking do that.
I think it's smart. I think they're pushing Bronson Reed pretty heavy right now, and we'll see. Yeah. That's a big test for him, but we'll see where that goes.
Yeah, and an Intercontinental Championship #1 contenders tournament match. That's a fucking mouthful.
Yeah, it is.
Was announced.
Yes.
With it first being announced through Jay.
Yeah.
And no, I guess it wasn't through Jay. It was through Braun. Braun Breaker was the one that he did the backstage segment, and he's kind of the one that announced it. But Jey Uso is the first person to announce that he is an entrant into that tournament. So they're kind of like leading potentially to the potential for Jay to get his first singles gold.
Yeah.
Which would be cool. I mean, it would be a good match for sure.
Yeah.
Kind of up in the air then as to what's going on between like Sammy and Jay, what they had talked about with the titles and the Judgment Day and all that. So
he said
a lot of questions.
Jay said Sammy's good with this. Maybe this is just getting Sammy off screen for a little bit, get a break, and then come back into the fold. But yeah, no, I like the idea of a tournament, and hopefully Jay does make his way through it, because Jay deserves solo gold too, right?
Yeah. We end up getting the Judgment Day. Judgment Day out in the ring, kind of calling out the Terror Twins.
The Terror Twins, yep.
Right. Rhea backstage had essentially kind of been like, this is going to be a trap.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, it's going to be a trap, blah, blah, blah. And he was like, yeah, like, of course I do. So they end up kind of having a plan. Priest comes out, things happen. Rhea comes up from behind Dom. They starting to kind of look like things are going to be good for the Terror Twins. Priest is fending off Judgment Day.
Everyone else, yeah.
And Rhea has Dom, and it looks like she's going to hit him with her finisher, the Riptide, right? And through the announce table. But lo and behold, here you go. You got fucking Liv Morgan coming out and smashing her over the back with a chair. And yet proceeds to end up being just a beatdown of the Terror Twins and Judgment Day standing tall over the Terror Twins. So just a continuance of a build through this feud, what's going on between all of them. Kind of interesting to me, kind of wondering, like, are Damian and Rhea going to need to recruit to a point? I don't know. It's kind of interesting because it's like this full thing should be eventually leading to Damian versus Finn. And Rhea versus Liv again. Yeah. That's what it should be leading to. But there's so many moving parts here because of Dom, JD, and Carlito, too. Yeah. So, kind of interesting. I don't necessarily know where it's going, but this is one where I don't necessarily know where it's going that I'm excited for. Yeah, exactly. To continue to see. So, this one's not like a bored, don't know where it's going, like the New Day Final Testament situation. Yeah. This is more just like, I don't know where it's going, but I'm excited to see where it ends up. Yeah, true. So, this leads us to the main event of Raw. It was Orton versus Ludwig, like we talked about earlier. I mean, all in all, Orton gets the win. It's a good match. Kind of continued to work that leg that he had attacked earlier on Orton, so they're kind of playing up the weak left knee of Orton.
We get to close the show with a brawl between Gunther and Orton, and
then Ludwig again attacking that leg. Yeah. And then leading to a blistering clothesline from Gunther and the champion standing tall over Orton. Yeah. To close out the show.
Loving it. Loving it.
Yeah. Couple good shows again for this week. Brings us to our banger of the week. What do you got?
I got Street Profits versus DIY. The match was incredible. They tore the house down, and I literally was just glued to the screen for them. No phone out. It was just enjoying the match. They both talented teams. They made it seem like any team could win. And like I said, Dawkins shined through that match, and got to go with them.
For sure. That's a solid pick, obviously. I'm gonna kind of throw a problem. It might be surprising to you that I actually say this. I'm gonna actually say the stare down between Cody and KO.
Okay.
Because of the unknown storytelling that's going on there. Mm-hmm. I feel like that is the most exciting cliffhanger that we have had in a while.
True.
Because it's between two good friends. Face versus face, like we talked about, that I hope they continue. Mm-hmm. But because of that awkwardness of that stare down with KO holding the title because he just picked it up for him, but then he's holding it, kind of looking at it, and then Cody's looking at him kind of unsure. That whole thing, I was just like, that's good storytelling. Yeah. Like, that's a good build. That's good stuff. I'm so happy that Cody's out of the bloodline situation now too, and able to kind of move on and storytell in different ways, because he's really good at the storytelling aspects of wrestling. So
I agreed.
Yeah, I thought it would kind of be a curveball there for a banger, but I thought that was very well done.
Very, very well done. Yeah. I agree. I like it.
So, Belts question of the week. You told me earlier you hate me for this. I posed the questions for the week this week. And my Belts question of the week is a forfer, actually.
A forfer?
Yes, there are 4 parts to this question. It's really just 2 parts. They're just like the opposites for both parts. So, first one is, what's your favorite theme song ever? Okay. And what's your least favorite theme song ever?
All right. My favorite theme song is This Fire Burns. Was CM Punk's theme song. Okay. That song got me hyped. It fit his character perfectly. I know they originally planned it for Randy Orton. He came out to it one time and really didn't fit, and then quickly gave it to CM Punk. But I thought that theme song is a banger. And then my least favorite theme song, this is a hard one for me, but I do have one answer, and it's The Right to Censor song. It's just sirens ringing.
Yeah.
Just that is why I added him to this Easter egg right there.
Yeah, that is a good Easter egg. For sure.
But yeah, that song rings. But I gotta say, today's theme songs don't like whoever's creating now theme songs is not doing that great of a job.
No, they're not that good.
Like
there's a couple.
There are a couple.
Braun Breaker's new music was solid. LA Knight's new music is really good. But I would agree that current, like for the most part, like compared to our favorite era of wrestling, which was the late 90s, early 2000s.
Jim Johnson is very missed right now.
No, I would agree with you on that for sure. Yeah. My favorite is there's so many classic ones, but I gotta go with Metalingus.
That was very close.
Yeah, I was surprised that wasn't yours. I thought for sure we were gonna have the same favorite one. It's just there's not like I hear that still to today, and I kind of just get chills. Like, I'm just like fuck, because that was such his whole intro, like everything, the fucking the smoke, the trench coat, the glasses, like all of it was just so fucking good, and
it fits him so good.
It was great. So that's probably that's got to be my favorite. My least favorite, that's tough. I feel like it might have been Andre the Giant's.
Okay,
it was just like a slow instrumental, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
Either that or Carlito's old music. I spit in the face of people who not want to be cool.
You're going to divide some fans on that one because they missed that song.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like his new one either. It's sad to like, but it's also I don't know. Yeah.
Okay.
Neither of them are good to me. So.
Yeah.
All right. The next question, which is also a two-parter. Which is a kind of just continuance of what we talked about. Just instead of theme songs, now it's wrestler gimmicks. So what's your favorite wrestler gimmick? Mm-hmm. And what's your least favorite wrestler gimmick?
All right. I got to go with Masked Kane. Like when he debuted, I wanted so much for him. Like he was dominant, silent, burn face, brother to The Undertaker. I ate up that gimmick and I thought they did great things with him.
Yeah.
Thought they could do some more looking back on it now, but I loved his gimmick. My least favorite gimmick, and it's an NXT one, and it's Roxanne Perez as she's the prodigy, and she's this heel character, and I think she's doing a terrible job as a heel. And to be called the prodigy, I don't get it. She's good in the ring, but she's super annoying the way, I don't know. I just don't like it. And she's the NXT Women's Champion, and I'm just not eating it up at all. So
my favorite wrestler gimmick is probably Mankind.
Okay.
It's just, again, I mean, kind of similar to the mask. Like, the voice when they first introduced him to, and it was like the high-pitched, scratchy, very kind of like mumbling, just I don't know. There's just something to it that was just like, oh my god. And there's Cactus Jack, there's Dude Love, there's Mick Foley, and there's Mankind. But Mankind like unlocked a completely different persona, like a completely deranged, didn't give a fucking shit about himself. I mean, just like the Hell in a Cell match in and of itself is just like a testament to that, you know, like he almost died like 3 different times in that match and just kept fucking going. Like it didn't matter.
Yeah.
Like he had a fucking tooth in his nose.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's like, and that was the first thing that happened. So it's like, what the fuck, man?
Yeah.
No, I don't know. Like that, it was like that legit. Cause like there was definitely like a split personality type thing that they were doing with Foley during that time, because there were moments where he was coming out as different characters from a fucking week to week basis almost, right? But the Mankind character was the one that was like off the chain, deranged, unhinged, like you didn't know what was going on. So
I think we can agree that just like the kayfabe characters were awesome, right?
Yes,
the gimmicks that had that.
My least favorite, and you might make me pick a different one, because not technically a wrestler, but it was the fucking excuse me Vicky Guerrero.
That's a gimmick. I would agree with you. I would agree with you.
I fucking hated it.
Nails on a chalkboard.
I hated every fucking moment that she was on the screen. I hated it. Like actually hated it. Not just hated it because she was good at what she was doing. Like I fucking hated it because I fucking hated it. It was always so bad. There wasn't a whole lot of goodness that came from Vicky Guerrero being on our screens, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But it just is it's just true. There wasn't a whole lot of good stuff that came from it.
Edge was champion a lot under her reign, so yeah, I'll give props to that.
So yes, okay, that fair enough. There were good, I guess, overarching things that happened during that time frame, but like there wasn't necessarily good things that directly happened from her being on screen. Like there's not a whole lot of memorable things for me from anything that has to do with Vicky Guerrero.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's definitely my least favorite. Is Vicky.
All right.
That brings us to Blockbusters. God damn it. All right. So we are back. We're talking about Marvel again. For the most part, our Marvel coverage this week is really just kind of like fan theories, rumor stuff that we've heard. There's no actually like necessarily new news. I guess this first thing I'm talking about is kind of to a point new news because it is like I'm hearing it from like actual like sources. Mm-hmm. So what I'm seeing is Spider-Man 4. Okay. It'll be the first fourth Spider-Man film ever.
Mm-hmm.
Right? With the same Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So Tom Holland Spider-Man in the MCU, they are currently working on production or, pre-production, writing and stuff for the fourth Tom Holland-led MCU Spider-Man movie. What I've been hearing and what I've been reading is that there's kind of a push and a pull right now between Sony and Marvel. Sony apparently wants Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire involved in this movie.
Yeah.
Where the MCU wants it to be more grounded. They want it to be more street level, kind of a reset to a point of the Spider-Man stories that they're telling in the MCU. So my question to you is like, what do you think? Like, what do you think would be best? Do you in the fourth Spider-Man? We kind of talked about this last week a little bit. We alluded to it without me knowing that I was going to read any of this, obviously. And we're talking about with the Sony Spider villain universe that they have going on, and we talked about the potential for like Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire to maybe get mixed up and involved in that. I had said that like if anything happens, I would like it to just be Tom Holland. I don't want to see Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield unless it's in like the Doomsday or Secret Wars, like the big Avengers thing where they're pulling from the multiverse.
Yeah,
that's what I had said. Then this came out and I was like, oh shit, like this is actually like a thing now. Like they're kind of actually like at odds right now trying to figure out how to do it because Sony is offering essentially Spider-Man to be in the MCU.
Yeah.
Because unfortunately, like we saw last week, Sony owns the fucking rights, which is all stupid shit, but it's all about money.
Yeah.
And when it comes down to it. So what do you think would be best? Like what do you want? What would you prefer to see?
I mean, honestly, after seeing Spider-Man No Way Home and how it ended, I would love to see the grounded, like, see the neighborhood-friendly Spider-Man going on. It makes sense for how that storyline ended. Yeah. That said, with how long this movie is coming to take place, it looks like it's going to end up between Avengers, Doomsday and Secret Wars. Yeah. Which would make, and I'm hearing rumors out there that every movie between those two is going to be like battleground movies, which would make sense to have.
Yeah, I got you. Battle Earth.
Yeah, Battle Earth. Sorry, yeah, Battle Earth, and that would make sense to have the other two Spider-Mans in it. But I would prefer the grounded version of it. It just the way No Way Home ended, it just makes sense.
And it set it up like not only the way it ended with Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield's characters, fizzling back into their own universes or whatever. It just makes sense to do the grounded with the way Tom Holland's character ended in that movie also. Like the rundown 1-bedroom apartment in fucking New York.
Mm-hmm.
Like nobody knows who he is. It's a perfect opportunity for them to set up that friendly neighborhood Spider-Man that like nobody knows who this kid is, but all of a sudden there's this person named Peter Parker living in their building. Nobody knows that he's Spider-Man, and he's super friendly as who he is, but he's also super friendly as Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I don't know. I would prefer to see, like, I think it would be better for everything to see. And I alluded to that last week. I'm down to see Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield come back as Spider-Man at some point, but it needs to be in the right situation. It needs to be done well.
Yeah.
I don't think this is the time to do that unless, like you said, we do end up in a Battle Earth scenario where that movie takes place in between, and it is on Battle Earth, where Battle Earth is parts of all these different universes merged into one.
Yeah.
Then if that's how they set it up and that's the way it is, then that makes sense. I'm good with that. But if it's supposed to be a more grounded, but then they pull them into it somehow, then that just seems off to me. So
yeah,
that was what I was, that was what I was kind of getting at, was wanted your input on it. Now, that all being said, if it is a grounded Spider-Man movie, I have another question for you, and that is, what villain would you prefer most, with Spider-Man being your favorite superhero?
Yeah.
What would you prefer most to see as a villain portrayed live action in the fourth Spider-Man film ever? Keeping in mind a couple things, I guess. I have one specific, but keeping in mind a couple things. So the first one is keeping in mind Sony's Spider-Verse villain universe thing that they have going on right now with Venom, Carnage, Calypso, Shrieker, Chameleon, the Foreigner, Rhino, the Vulture now also has kind of been pulled into that universe, according at least to, well, actually, have you seen Morbius yet?
Yeah.
Okay, so I caught up on all those movies now too. So since the last time we talked, with Sony having control of all of those, and also having the property rights to everything related to Spider-Man, what then to go even further on top of, think about Green Goblin, Doc Ock, the Lizard, Electro. We've already seen in the MCU the Vulture and Mysterio, Sandman, Venom. Like,
we've seen a lot.
All of these characters have been or are going to be portrayed in live action outside, or a couple of them were the first couple movies in the MCU Spider-Man films. So, what other villains even are there to choose from that I don't know? Because right now I'm literally drawing a blank. I'm not sure. I'm sure you have some. And which one would you prefer? Be like, yeah, this was like, we need this now.
Yeah,
it's like we're getting the Muse in Daredevil.
Yeah,
we're getting the Foreigner in. We just talked about it last week. Is that Craven?
Craven
the Hunter. Yeah. So what would you like to see? What would you expect to see? How would you like to go?
Well, I think first and foremost, Daredevil has introduced Mr. Fisk, Kingpin, and I would love to see that brought into the Spider-Verse, because Kingpin...
Fuck, that is true. Yeah, Kingpin and Spider-Man have a big comic book history.
Yeah, but if we had to move away from Kingpin, I would like to see Tombstone or Black Cat. I think those are two characters that we can bring into a more grounded a version of a Spider-Man.
I read, it was another rumor I didn't put on here. I don't know why I didn't put on here, but I read that they're apparently looking to potentially actually cast Sydney Sweeney as Black Cat in Spider-Man 4, which again is interesting because she played one of the gals in Madam Web.
Yeah.
So I don't really know how they would go about all that. I don't even know who Tombstone is. I have no idea who the fuck that is.
He's just, talk
to me.
He's like a mob boss guy, and he kind of looks like a vampire kind of looking guy.
Okay.
But he was a big part of being a Spidey villain, but a more grounded character, not really big superpowers that I could think of.
So is it more kind of a Wilson Fisk
type
of
a Kingpin, almost same thing kind of going on,
okay.
and I think that would be easy to portray on the movie. So
yeah,
that was my thoughts
cool.
Because there's not a lot more to work with.
I mean, they've hit a lot in live action, or are going to, and that's why I wanted to ask you that, because I'm like, what could they pull to or pull from? And I think Kingpin's a no-brainer.
Yes.
With D'Onofrio's Wilson Fisk. Like, I think that would be so smart. And then having the potential for a fucking Daredevil Spider-Man crossover, which is a huge comic book arc.
Yeah.
That would be so dope to see fucking Charlie Cox and Tom Holland's respective superheroes actually have a superheroic crossover, not just him as his lawyer.
Yeah.
Which was already set the fucking fan base on fire.
Yeah.
Just them together that. So, like, to have them actually as their characters do it, and especially now in Spider-Man 4, where Charlie Cox's Daredevil wouldn't remember that he even was Peter Parker's lawyer.
Exactly right.
So, a lot of interesting stuff to go off of there. Yeah, that was just one. That was just one of our Marvel rumor / fan theory topics today. The other one is Fantastic Four First Steps. This is not a rumor. This is just like out there. John Malkovich and Natasha Lyonne have both been cast in undisclosed roles. The rumor part comes around where I've just been reading stuff on Reddit, online. I've read fan castings of what role they both could be playing, and one of them has them connected in castings. Okay. And that is that John Malkovich should be, and like a lot of stuff is like, if this isn't the role he's casted in, it's a waste of casting. It's like the stuff I'm reading.
Yeah.
Like, it's like a fucking complete waste. Him as Puppet Master. And if you look up Puppet Master, like the comic, and you're like, yeah, fucking obviously. That's like, I'll show you. It's like, yeah, that fucking comic book character was like drawn based on fucking John Malkovich. It almost looks like it's crazy. And then that Natasha Lyonne could be potentially playing his daughter, Alicia Masters.
Gotcha. Okay.
So that was interesting. I'm super stoked for both of them to be in that movie for whatever roles they're in. Hopefully they're like meaningful roles, because they're just fantastic actors. John Malkovich is
he's John Malkovich.
He's fucking John Malkovich.
Damn it.
Yeah. So and it's crazy to think that like he's kind of gone under the radar in the whole kind of idea of all of the announcements for Fantastic Four and everything. Like, we haven't heard a lot other than the fact that it's just been like, oh yeah, by the way, John Malkovich is in this movie, and and like you would think that would be like, what the fuck? But because so much other stuff has come out about like the actual casting of the Fantastic Four, now the fact that Robert Downey Jr. is fucking playing Victor Von Doom, like all of that. So it's just like, what?
What's crazy is I believe John Malkovich was supposed to play the Vulture in the original Spider-Man 4 with Sam Raimi's trilogy. There was a plan for it.
I've read that, yeah.
And I believe he was supposed to be Vulture in that.
That is true. Oh, that's funny. That is interesting.
Staying in the Marvel universe, right?
Yeah. So I also read that Doctor Doom probably won't be in Fantastic Four, but there's potential for like this, like kind of the storyline to kind of play out like he's alluded to in that movie and he's talked about, and like his overarching plan might have something to do with Galactus and like everything that's happening in that movie, and that the Fantastic Four are unable to fully stop Doctor Doom's plan. So I'm wondering if somehow maybe Doctor Doom like summoned Galactus to destroy that universe to try to kill the Fantastic Four, and then the Fantastic Four is unable to stop that from happening, and then they end up jumping to the Sacred Timeline following Doctor Doom.
Yeah.
And then that would essentially, what that would do is then set up, once we then get that encounter, whether it's in Doomsday or whatever it ends up being in, it kind of ties in this Fantastic Four movie that takes place in a alternate universe, 1960s New York.
I like it.
So it's one of the things I've read that's potential possible thing. And then the other thing that I've read is that, like, without saying it outright, one thing I've read is that, like I said, without actually outright saying it, it sounds like Robert Downey Jr. has alluded to the fact that he is not playing a Tony Stark variant, that he is specific, like he is playing Victor Von Doom, and it was all based off like the conversation that him and Kevin Feige had originally about like how to do this, and like let's get Victor Von Doom right was like one of the things that Kevin Feige said that like is what drew RDJ into this role, was like, let's get Victor Von Doom right, like you're the guy to play it,
I like
type of thing. So it sounds just based off of that, and again, it's Marvel.
Yeah.
It's the MCU. It's everybody under Kevin Feige. It's in Feige we trust. We can't trust fucking bullshit. We can't trust a goddamn thing, actually.
That's true.
Like, in Feige we trust in the direction of where everything's going, and I 100% full-heartedly believe that. But you also can't trust anything that's fucking said, because how long did Andrew Garfield fucking say, I am not in this movie? Please leave me alone about it, for him to just end up being in the movie.
True.
Right? Same thing with X-23 and Deadpool and Wolverine. Like, she went all the way up until they dropped the trailer with her in it. Yeah. So that she could go to the red carpet premiere with everybody saying, I'm not in this movie. Like, I have nothing to do with this. I'm really excited for them. I hope everything's good, but I have nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, there's been and that's just two examples of the fucking countless things over the years that we have been blatantly lied to about to hide what's actually happening. And I love that.
Yeah, agreed.
So it's like Robert Downey Jr. could be playing a Tony Stark variant, but he could also just be playing a fucking random Victor Von Doom variant, and they could be throwing us through a whole fucking loop that he gets killed off super quick. Ooh. And there's a whole other bigger, badder Victor Von Doom that they're hiding from us because they're using, you know what I mean? Like, there's so many options of things that could be happening right now that we have no fucking idea about, which just makes this all so exciting, which is what has us talking about it on a week-to-week basis.
Yeah.
So
that said, if he's not playing a variant of Tony Stark, then I hope that they still play into it, like, when Tom Holland's Spider-Man comes face to face with him, like he goes, Tony, but
and
it's not.
He has no idea what he's talking about, type of thing. Yeah.
Because I mean, I think that would be just incredible. So I at least hope that happens if they're telling the truth.
Again, in Feige we trust.
We trust. Yep.
So we'll see how it goes. We'll see what direction it goes.
Last thing about Marvel on this week is Vision Quest. That's not the final name for the show, but that's what they're calling it right now. But seems like an announcement was just announced that James Spader is reprising Ultron in this show, which I think would be incredible.
Yes,
absolutely. He did a great job voicing Ultron in Age of Ultron Avengers movie, and I thought for sure this can't be the end of Ultron. So bringing him back for this show makes sense because that's where Vision came from. Yep. And we'll see where it goes from here. But just wanted to throw that out this week before we missed that.
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't even hear that until I saw you put that on. And I was like, whoa, that's fucking dope, because I love James Spader in general. Yeah. The Blacklist is one of my favorite fucking shows. That show. And then him in fucking The Office was amazing. Like, he's just a great actor. So I'm seeing that. I was like, fuck yeah, that's awesome. So I hope that is true. I've kind of forgotten about this show because it's been so long.
It's been a really long time.
I mean, they announced it like
pretty quickly.
They announced it not too long after WandaVision ended, or maybe even before it ended. I don't remember, but it's been a thing for a while. You got to do that. Like, first off, Vision was one of the most beloved characters of the fucking first phase of the MCU.
Yes,
he was fucking awesome. And then that love story between him and Wanda was huge. And then you got WandaVision, where he turned into White Vision because she like recreated him essentially. Yeah, it was a very, very complex character. It really, and so I feel like there's a lot of unfinished business with it. So yeah, stoked for that. Hopefully we get that, for the next couple of years or whatever. We are introducing our newest blockbuster segment.
I'm excited for this.
Me too. So we introduced one a couple weeks ago called Blockbusted. That was where we are reviewing and watching the worst reviewed on Rotten Tomatoes streaming movie from the previous month, right? We did that. We remember that. It was what it was. Clear cut. Woo!
Best movie ever.
Yes, fantastic. Now we're doing one. It's in a similar vein to a point, but that's not the worst movie. This is just a movie that me and Tim have both just decided on. Like, hey, let's watch this one. One that we haven't really read a lot about. One that we don't know what the rankings are on Rotten Tomatoes. We haven't looked at any of that because we're actually going to do that a little bit later here on the show. But it's just a movie that we both have just been like, all right, hey, let's go watch this one. And
it's a movie that kind of gathered buzz, right? It was talked about by a big fan base, so I thought it would be a good opportunity to talk about.
Yeah, and so that leads us to the name of this segment, which is Blockbusters.
Oh, right? Yes.
So Blockbusters is, again, like Tim just mentioned, it's a movie that kind of garnered some buzz around it when it first was either, dropping trailers or when it was coming out or once it came out, whatever. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a new movie either. No. It could just be one that garnered buzz at some point.
Yep.
That we maybe, for the most part, we'll probably try to keep it as one that we haven't seen so that it is new to both of us. But that's kind of the idea. We then will watch the movie and then we're going to talk about it on the show, kind of give our review of it, give our own Rotten Tomatoes score, if you will. And then we're actually going to check the actual Rotten Tomatoes score live on the show to see how close we were in the comparison. So the movie we picked for Blockbusters this week was Leave the World Behind. It is on Netflix. It came out almost a year ago or so.
Yeah.
It stars Julia Roberts, Ethan Hawke, Kevin Bacon, Mahershala Ali, and the kids that are in the movie. I don't know their actors or actresses' names. But yeah, so the synopsis of the movie is a family's getaway to a luxurious rental home takes an ominous turn when a cyber attack knocks out their devices and two strangers appear at their door. So, what did you think about the movie?
I thought the movie was good, man. I thought I see why it was gathering buzz.
Yes, absolutely.
It wasn't your typical thriller, but I was on the edge of my seat like through the whole thing almost, and I liked that there was just no clear answer of what was happening, but there's just a lot going on.
Yeah,
I like the segments it was broken into. It was creative.
Yeah, they did it like almost like a play in a sense, right? Where it was like part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, part 5, and where like each segment had a title to it, so you kind of knew you had an expectation of it, whether the expectation that you had was correct or not, which was kind of nice, right?
Yeah.
Kind of kept you guessing, kind of kept you out, like you said, on the edge of your seat, on your toes. I liked that it was not a post-apocalyptic thriller.
Mm-hmm.
But it was kind of a pre to mid-apocalyptic thriller. Like, it was not, I don't know, it was just like everything was happening in this specific time frame when all this stuff's happening, but you don't see you never see the overarching impact of what was going on.
Yeah.
Right? Until, to a point, the very end of the film.
Yes.
And even then, it was only briefly alluded to.
Yeah.
And then the way the movie ended, I was literally, and we're trying not to give like spoilers away for the movie for the most part. Like, this one came out almost a year ago, so like to a point, like you should have fucking watched it by now. But still, we're trying not to, when we do these, not give like too crazy much away. But it was just like the way it ended, I like instantly, I was pissed.
Me too.
Like, I was actually kind of like, I stood there for probably a solid minute. Lindsay and Lainey were in Lainey's little play area because they had just gotten home. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, I was like, what the fuck's happening? Because I had just been, like, I'd paused it.
Uh-huh.
And there was still like 13 minutes left. Right? On Netflix. And I was like, I'd paused it when they got home and everything. I was telling Lindsay, I was like, yeah, like I just need to finish this. It's only got, 10 minutes left or so. I was like, but it's getting like I was like, we're getting really fucking good. Like, shit's about to pop off.
Yeah.
And then I played it and it was like 30 seconds and it ended. And I was like, nothing popped up. I was like, what the fuck just happened? What happened? What is going on? So then I like instantly was like looking up like, what the fuck, like what is like it, they have to make another one.
Yeah.
And there's no talk of another one being made.
Nope.
Like, could they? Yeah, of course. But there's no talk. There was it's based on a novel, and there was not a follow up to the novel.
Mm.
I'm like, what the fuck, man? I'm still kind of irritated. Like, I want to know what happened to these characters because you're left with so many cliffhangers.
Yeah.
From this.
Yeah.
So many.
I think
like every single character in that movie, you're literally left wondering what the fuck happened. So
I think it's telling how good a movie can be is if it makes you think throughout the whole thing, and the whole time I was like, what if the phones went down, the internet went down, power went down?
Well, yeah, and that was another thing too that made it so interesting to me was I was like, this is very real.
Yeah,
like
we are so reliant.
We're insanely reliant on
we're making
our phones
this
and
podcast
technology.
with technology.
Yeah, right. So it's like everything we do, like think about it. And I would challenge our listeners to think about it too. Like if all of a sudden tomorrow all forms of technology just stopped working,
what'd you do?
And I don't mean electricity. I just mean your phone stopped working, computers. Like there's no Wi-Fi, there's no internet, there's nothing, there's no cellular data, there's no satellite stuff, there's no TV, there's
no GPS.
There's no GPS, there's no radio, there's no satellite phone.
Yeah.
Right? All forms of communication outside of human interaction and fucking sending somebody on horseback or a car, to deliver a message type of thing are gone. What the fuck would you do?
Yeah.
And this movie definitely challenges that. Like it's did a really good job at that. It made it I would say this movie falls into a very similar vein of just genre as to A Quiet Place and the Vision one with Sandra Bullock.
Oh, Bird Box?
Yeah, Bird Box.
Yeah.
Like very similar to where like those two were both about like senses and like taking one of your primary senses away.
Oh yeah, very true.
This isn't necessarily about taking your senses away, but I mean, fuck, dude, our use of technology might as well be a sense for us.
It's
now.
A crutch for sure.
It's definitely a crutch. So it's definitely taking away something from you and like handicapping you in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
So like I would put it in that same lane of genre and storytelling. Yeah. So. Okay, what would you rate it out of like think Rotten Tomatoes?
Yeah, out of 100.
What would you rate this movie?
I thoroughly enjoyed it. I loved just how it got me thinking about, damn, this could happen, like and stuff. So I'm gonna give it a 82. I'm gonna give it 82, and it's and I would have been higher, but that ending pissed me off too. Like it's just like really like it leaves it open in the air, leaves it to interpretation, but also like you just have me on the edge of my seat for 2+ hours and to end like that. So I had to dock a big chunk of points off because of that.
Yeah. I said 84.
Oh, really close.
Yeah, really close. And I can actually back this up that we did not plan this. While you were talking, you didn't see it. I literally went like this. I went like this. I said 8-4 right before you said yours. So you can look back at it when you're editing this, and people can see it. Wow. I literally went 8-4 right before. So because I was like, I want just in case because I had a feeling that we were going to be close because we usually are. So I said 84 for similar. I mean, it was a good fucking movie. Like from start to finish. Like Julia Roberts' character had me like, fuck you, you fucking bitch. But then also, like, I fucking get it.
Yeah.
Like the two people show up in the middle of the night at a fucking house that you're renting saying it's their house and she's got kids upstairs. Like, I'm a dad now. So I'm like, I fucking understand that. But at the same time, I'm kind of like, fuck, you're really seeming kind of racist right now. Like, and I don't think that was like her intent. I don't think it had anything to do with the fact that they were black, that she was acting the way she was acting. It was because of the kids and she's very untrusting of people. Yeah. But it was being set up very, very like, it's like, You shouldn't. Don't say that.
Yes.
Don't say that in this situation. But you're saying that. It's not very good. So like it was like that one had me like, I get it, but also fuck you, which is a good character trait to have, I think.
Yeah.
The dad also was like, oh yeah, he's likable, but fuck you too, because the Ethan Hawke's character, because it was like, why are you being such a little bitch? Like, why are you such a pushover? You know, like. You're just like, oh yeah, you guys can fucking stay here. It's like, but you got kids upstairs. The fuck? Think. What are you doing? You don't know these people. But then it also had from the other side, like it was their house, and they had legit reasons that they were like, yeah, there's a fucking blackout in the city. We were out and we just drove here because this is just our normal thing. So it was like, I understand that too, because like, what if you were in that situation? I don't know. I feel like all of the characters kind of had like a fuck you moment, but also a understandable.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Like a character trait to them. So that definitely, like that in and of itself, when things happen in a way that you can't just write characters off, I think is good.
Yeah.
That it allows you to stay engaged with all of the characters, because like we had legit character arcs with all 6 people in that movie.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
So, and there were literally only 6 people in that movie. Sorry, 7 people. There were 7 characters in that movie. We didn't see a single other human being. 8. The lady on the street.
Oh yeah.
That was really it though.
Yeah.
Like,
and maybe some extras on the beach, but
like someone actually had like screen time.
Yes, agreed.
It was like that, and then like a fraction of a second with the cop that they talk to when they're leaving the beach.
And none of them missed a beat. Like none of the acting took me out of the movie. It was well done.
Yeah, it was. So yeah. I agree with you. I think the ending, I wouldn't necessarily say I docked points for the ending, maybe a little bit, because it has me, if and when we hear about Leave the World Behind 2, I'm going to be like, fuck yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
True. So like, I think there's that point to it where I'm like, it fucking pissed me off the way it ended, but now I'm like going to forever be on that cliff hanging, being like, I need more and I want more.
Gotcha.
It wasn't like it was a shitty movie that ended on a stupid cliffhanger. I'm like, I don't give a fucking shit about this. I fucking cared about what was going on in this movie, which is why that irritated me so much, which I think is a testament to the movie itself. Yeah. So, yeah. So 82, 84.
Yeah.
I think does that average out to 83? Is that the way that works?
I would think it would be 83. So let's look it up.
Yeah, right? Because that would be 166.
Yeah.
So yeah, divided by 2 would be an 83.
Yeah.
So I am going to, right now, I have Rotten Tomatoes open on the home screen. I'm going to look up Leave the World Behind. I
am going to spoil one thing, though. I love that the closing notes of it was the Friends theme song.
I know. There was a running theme throughout the show where the daughter, she's probably early teens, she's probably like 13, 14 maybe. She was maybe even a little younger. She was watching the whole series of Friends on her iPad, and she was like just up to the final
episode.
The last one, literally, is what the episode is titled. And that was what she was on when she didn't like when everything shut down. So she never got to see what happened between Ross and Rachel.
And that's all she cared about.
That's all she wanted to know throughout the entire movie was what happened between Ross and Rachel.
Haley was like, oh, I can tell you. I've seen this 100 times. I'll tell you everything.
Yeah. Wait, like I think all 3 of us, we could reenact probably the entire fucking series of Friends, just the 3 of us. So Leave the World Behind on Rotten Tomatoes. I'm going to have you try to guess here, but I will tell you, we overshot the tomato meter, which is the critics review.
Okay.
We overshot, not crazy, but we did overshoot it.
Really?
The popcorn meter, which is the fans review, we overshot by far.
Really?
I know, which is shocking to me. I'm actually super surprised by this. So I'll just tell you the popcorn meter once we get to that. But tomato meter, the critics meter, I think that's probably the main one that we're kind of comparing to, is the critics review. So what do you think they gave it? We overshot it, but not by a ton. Not like, I don't think it would be necessarily shocking.
Gotcha.
To a point.
Did they give it a 70 then?
Close, a little higher.
Okay.
73.
Okay.
Yeah. The tomato meter is a 73 on Rotten Tomatoes for Leave the World Behind.
Okay.
What
do the fans give it then?
35.
Really?
A 35% with over 5,000 ratings.
It was the ending. It had to be the ending.
Had to be the ending.
Because that was a good movie.
It was. Yeah, like that. Like it was a legit. Like it was actually a good fucking movie. But like I do get it because it left some. We're gonna spoil the whole fucking thing. You never find out what fucking happened.
True.
You literally don't find out what happened in the movie. Like you don't know what was causing the shit to be happening to the sun. You don't know what's causing all of it. You just know that hackers, like that's all that you know is that hackers happen. You don't know what country it's coming from. You don't know what's going on. You don't know if it's a domestic thing. Mm-hmm. You see bombs dropping in New York and a kid's teeth falling out of his head.
True.
That's really the extent of what you actually see of what's going on. So like, we really don't know what the fuck happened. So like, I understand that, but also like,
that's a really low
I think
score.
That's being very critical given the fact that like the rest of the movie had you on the edge of your fucking seat.
Yeah.
Like I said, like the ending makes you now like, I'm going to be like, what the fuck happened? And I'd love if they made a second one to pick up literally from the girl watching Friends.
Yeah.
That would be the best way to do it.
Yeah.
But,
well,
anyways,
listeners, let us know what you think of that movie.
Leave the World Behind. It's on Netflix. Watch it. Shoot us some comments. Shoot us some emails. Whatever. Let us know what your guys' takes on it would be. Once you've watched it.
All right.
Brings us to our final segment here today is the Blockbusters question of the week. I once again posed this question. I'm excited for this one. I think this one is a good one. And it is, again, a two-parter with your most and least type of thing. So the first one I'm going to ask you is what horror movie villain, with horror movie being your favorite genre, being right up there with mine as well, what horror movie villain would you most prefer to have to face off against? So what I mean by that is, what do you think, which horror movie villain do you think you have like the most chance against? And I'm kind of thinking in the veins of kind of like your like primary main, I said vintage originally, kind of horror movie villains, like your slashers, your they don't necessarily have to be only slashers, but that type of stuff.
Yeah, it's a tough one, but just looking at it as just in real life circumstances, I would have to say Ghostface. Ghostface is based in reality. It's probably someone you know, and granted, there's 2 to 3 of them going around at the same time usually, but there's no real supernatural part to it, which would make me feel like I have my best chances against.
Yeah, I'm gonna throw a little wrench into this with my answer, I think, because you're gonna be like, what? I'm gonna say The Strangers.
Oh,
for a very similar reason. It's all rooted in reality. They're just fucking people.
Yeah.
And this might split our fan base. 2 of them are chicks. I'm just gonna say it. I'm fighting, and I'm gonna be honest. I have a very good feeling that I have a good chance. I'm armed.
Yeah.
Most times. And like I'm not. This isn't happening to me. That's just kind of how I feel about it.
Yeah, it would take a lot for something big to happen to the smarts in general.
Yeah,
I would say.
Yeah. So, I would say I don't know if they necessarily fall under the vintage horror movie, but I feel like that came out.
It's a horror movie.
It came out long enough ago,
and it's a slasher
that I feel like it could fit. It could fit the criterion. But if not, Ghostface was one of like my OG slashers that I was like, yeah, Ghostface is a fucking person.
Yeah.
Where like Michael Myers is a person, but that motherfucker's been shot in the eyeballs and just got up and walked away. So like, that's a possessed motherfucker. That's not just a person. Yeah. Or like Ghostface, every single time, that's a human being that usually ends up dying in the end. So it's like, yeah. But the Strangers, I was like, they're not even hiding for the most part. They're just like showing up at your fucking doorstep. You ring my doorbell and you're wearing masks like that, I'm opening the door with my gun at you. Yeah. And if you move weirdly, I'm shooting you.
Yeah.
So that's how That's how I'm. That's kind of how I'm.
I like it. I like it.
Yeah. All right. The next question is the exact opposite. Which one would you least want to have to face off against? Like, which one would you be like, I'm fucked. There's no chance. I have no chance here.
I gotta go with Freddy Krueger.
Yeah, it's the same. Yep.
I love my sleep.
And you can't control your dreams.
You can't control
that is the most fucked up. He is the most fucked up.
Yeah.
There's no one I would prefer to face less than Freddy Krueger, because it's literally he's murdering you in your dreams.
Yeah.
If you die while you are dreaming, you die in real life. That's a fucked up premise.
Yeah.
That's a fucked up scenario. It's a fucked up situation.
You can't escape him. You can't. I mean,
yeah.
The people escaped him in the movie, but I'm just gonna say, just do it, man. Kill me.
Yeah.
Get it over with.
Fuck it. I'm gonna voluntarily. I'm gonna take like 95 sleep aids, and I'm just gonna. As long as you can torment me as long as you want, I'm gonna die. I know it. I'm not even gonna resist. You're not gonna get any fun out of this because I'm going to give myself. Fuck it. I'm gonna kill myself in my dreams so that you don't get the fun out of it. Yeah, no, Freddy Krueger for fucking sure.
I mean, just any of the supernatural ones would be hard, but Freddy Krueger was the first one to come to mind.
Freddy for sure.
Yeah,
because it's like any of like if you were to like then pull out like the Poltergeist or the Exorcist movies or any of that stuff as like a part of this, it'd be like, at least there's like fucking priests and shit you can go to for exorcism and shit. Like, that's not what Freddy is.
No.
Freddy's not just like a demon that's haunting you. He is a fucking burned pedophile that is trying to murder you in your sleep.
Yeah.
That's different.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Freddy for sure takes the cake on that. Brother, episode 12.
Cheers to you, man.
In the books. Cheers to you. And we just got more coming.
Let's fucking go.